We see the signs everywhere, don't we? Timmy's, Tim Hortons, offering refreshments of many kinds. Sandwiches and chili and salads and fritters and timbits and donuts and breakfast sandwiches and most ubiquitous coffee cups. A good place to go to refresh yourself. Dashing in for a cuppa on the way to work. Over in the corner, a number of senior citizens gather for fellowship and to discuss the latest happenings while sipping their coffee and devouring a Boston cream. In another corner, a young man has secreted himself, contemplating his computer as he sips a cup of hot chocolate, oblivious to all those who are around him. I know of a family who, when planning their trips, include stops over at Timmy's, which is a chance to take a break and rest a while before continuing their journey. We're all familiar with Tim Hortons' series of restaurants. But there's also another set of buildings that offer rest and refreshment. They offer the bread of life and wine for their spirit. They can be identified by tall, pointy spires, always open on a Sunday, and quite often during the week. We go to Timmy's for a time of relaxation and refreshment. We enter the church for the time of relaxation and refreshment that enables us to adequately face the challenges, the difficulties, the ups and the downs of the ensuing week. So what's the difference? Jesus criticizes the people who only followed him for the physical and temporal or secular worldly benefits, not for the satisfying of spiritual hunger. Many people use religion to gain prestige, comfort, or even political votes. Believe it or not, I served a pastoral charge down in Prince Edward County, and there was a chap there who never appeared in church until 3 weeks before the next election. Yeah, I kid you not. He would glad hand everybody there, chatting away to them. But the week after the election, and he was reappointed to the office, never saw him again. Until the next election came around, and I was there long enough to discover at least twice that he was there, using God for his own purposes. But this is exactly what he did. And I wonder whether he was truly blessed. It was hard to say. But these are all self-centered motives, like those who use the church only for their ends. The baptism of little Emily, the wedding of Darby and Joan, and the burial of Granny Tamblyn, what we refer to as hatch, match, and dispatch. Funny, but I'm afraid very sad when you consider. The rest of the time, the rest of you can keep the church going until I need it the next time. A very selfish attitude. Others can pay for its maintenance. Hire a minister, develop a decent worship service, and offer varied programs. I might come if I'm interested, but don't count me in. The true believers follow our Lord because he has the truth, knows the way, and will walk with us, regardless of what you and I have to face in the course of the week. His way is the way to live. So what does Christ want us to do? The various religions of the world attempt to answer this perplexing question, but Jesus' reply is brief and simple. We must believe on him whom God has sent. And satisfying God does not come from the work we do, but from in whom we believe. So therefore we accept Jesus as the Son of God. And as a result of that, all spiritual development is built on this affirmation. We have to see beyond the words. We have to see that word result in action. When the council met in putting the Bible together those many years ago, there was one book which was questionable, and that was the book of James. Because James said quite bluntly, if you believe, show me your belief. Faith without works is dead. That makes us stop and think a bit, doesn't it? We talk a lot. I mentioned earlier about little Jimmy saying, "Oh, Mummy, I love you, I love you." So Mummy says, "Well, go and tidy up your room, please." "Well, I can't, I'm watching television." You know, if you love your mother, go and do as Mummy asks. And in the obituary read this morning, the parents are in control, not the children. And this should make us stop and think. I know, even when I was growing up, Leslie and I, my youngest sister, she's 4 years younger than I am, were really horrified when Sandra arrived 12 years later, that she got away with stuff that Leslie and I could never even think of getting away with. And we were not very happy with little sister. You know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander too. And, you know, let's be consistent about this. And this is the situation. And I'm afraid parents have negated and abdicated their responsibilities in bringing up the children. And the teacher does not dare lift a hand because of, regardless of the way the child behaves in class, apart from being disruptive. I know even when I taught religious education in the local schools in Prince Edward County, even then, you had to be careful. And now this is going back in, I'd say, 70s. We had a curriculum there that we utilized, and I went in on a Friday morning, and I would do grades 5 to 8, and then go to the other school and do grades 1 to 4. All in the morning. I had about 20 minutes with each class. I mean, that's all you needed because the kids couldn't absorb any more after that period of time. And it was interesting to see how they reacted when you walked into the classroom. Grades 5, 6, and I'd say mostly 7 were open and willing to listen to what you had to say. Grades 7 and 8, well, some of them gave you the impression that they knew it all, weren't really interested in what you had to say. Grades 1 and 2 and 3 would cluster around you and grab you and hug you and want to untie your shoelaces and things like that when you were told to stay. Of course, one of the things you had to remember was that you didn't speak to the first graders the same way you did to the 8th graders and 7th graders. So you had to really do a decent job every Friday, because that's the day I went in, to communicate the gospel without really preaching at them. Denominationalism had no place. And then later on, a chap named Davis, wasn't me, did away with religious education in the schools. But I had a curriculum that I created while I was there, which was very acceptable to the Board of Education of Prince Edward County, which was good. But when I left, it collapsed. And the thing of it was, it's sad. You're doing away with the good. It's like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I mean, what you have is absolutely nothing. So this was the problem. Trying to train and bring up a child in the way that he should go, because we are told in Scripture that when he is older, he will not depart from it. That discipline is essential. And though some of us, most of us, are grandparents now, we still have that authority to try to help the parent realize that the world can be a much better place if we care for one another and try to love one another, and simply saying, well, I love you, and then go and do as they want. We can eat bread at Timmy's in our kitchen or in some other location to satisfy a physical hunger and thus to sustain life, because we must. We can satisfy spiritual hunger and sustain and develop a healthy spiritual life only by a right relationship with our Creator. And this demands a sort of discipline on our part. We put things off, we procrastinate. And as a result, what we plan to do never happens. I have a dear friend who reminds me of someone trying to ride a horse in 6 different directions at once. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. This is what I plan to do. But he never does. Which is sad, because he has great potential. This is the same thing with young people who have the potential, but that potential is not controlled, it's not guided, it's not upheld. And the discipline becomes a sore to them. You can't let me do what I want. No, you need to do what is right. You need to do that which is best for everybody, not just you. So when we call ourselves followers of the man of the way, what we are doing is committing our hearts to Christ. And that demands participation in church service. It demands private devotions at home where you read the scriptures and have your prayers, or maybe use a devotional booklet. It also demands action. Okay, you're a follower of Christ. Well, do this to help make the world a better place. Do this. Volunteer to help that particular organization or that particular family. And we need that physical bread to sustain our physical bodies, which develops into a healthy life. And when we walk with our Lord, that spiritual development brings us into a life eternal. So until then, we'll see you at Timmy's. Let us bow our heads in prayer.